They're on the lookout.
Now at the border, they're interviewing like pregnant women.
Yeah. If you're coming in and you're pregnant, they're like, bro.
Who are you here to see? Where are you going to stay? Oh, right next to the hospital, huh? You know? So when Trump was elected, there was this idea of ending birthright citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument was, well, there are these people that are coming here illegally. They're just jumping across the border, squatting as soon as they step 1 foot in, having a kid, and all of a sudden that's a citizen, and this is a problem. I kind of agreed. That shouldn't be allowed.
It seems like a loophole.
Right? All I got to do is just run across the border, step 1 foot in, sit, do a little potty squat, pop out my kid, and then I have American citizen. And then now you're getting benefits for it forever.
That's exactly how babies are made.
Yeah, just like that. So when they were like, we need to end this practice, I was like, yes, that needs to end. And then the Supreme Court stepped in, like, wait a second, like, there's actually, it's constitutionally allowed, like, you're born in the United States, therefore, like, we're going to pause this thing. This seems like anti-constitutional. Well, somehow the USCIS and the Immigration Service came out and finally they're like, okay, here's our proposal and plan of what this would look like.
Yep.
And in it, they said, people here illegally can't be a citizen. Fine.
Makes sense.
Kind of makes sense. And they said temporary visa holders, if more than one of your parents are a temporary visa holder, then it doesn't count. And at first, at the surface level, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, wait, what is a temporary visa holder?
Yeah.
And those are students too.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But then I realized...
a visa holder, in a very simple sentence, a visa holder is someone who is explicitly here for a designed purpose.
Correct.
Temporary. So there's no citizen application, documentation as part of that process. So you cannot say someone who has a visa can become a citizen. Doesn't make sense from the logistics.
I agree with you 100%.
Past tense.
Yes, past tense. Because it's one of these things that you agree with something until you realize it affected you. And then you're like, huh.
Isn't that the nature of most things in life?
That's crazy,
it's
isn't
like
it?
You don't give a rat's ass
until it affects you.
Exactly.
So my parent, when I was born, both my parents were graduate students in the United States. So they were both temporary visa holders.
Yes.
Meaning that if this law were in effect when I was born, I would not have been born an American citizen.
Oh, and you would have done the military time.
And my entire life, I thought I was born here, I was raised here. My parents got their citizenship after I was born. That I'm like American because that's what people told me my entire life.
Boy, you are American.
I am.
You were born in America, so you're American for sure.
Correct. But if the new law and the new guidance were to pass, then I would not have been.
You would have fallen under the visa temporary status of your parents.
Correct. So both my parents would have been temporary student visa holders. Therefore,
you would have been temporary.
I would not have been an American citizen.
Yes, you would have been a temporary birthed entity.
Whatever the new classification of that would be.
From your birthing system.
Correct.
Is that what they call them now? Mom's birthing
birthing
person?
Yeah, from my birthing person. I would not be a U.S. citizen. And it was like, I didn't realize at first. It took me a while to kind of put two and two together. But then it was like this moment where you're like, oh, like I was a mistake. Because they're like, oh, that was wrong. Oh, we shouldn't have done that.
Oh, Matt slipped through the cracks.
I slipped through. In this little period where that's like not cool. Because once this changes, then anyone that's in the same situation as I am would not be an American citizen.
Oh, so you're an illegal immigrant.
I don't know like how exactly what the proposal would that be
You're
like.
just an illegal birthed.
I think they want you to be in line with what your parents are, and then therefore I would have to be a Korean citizen, but some countries don't acknowledge you if you're not born in that country. So there's this gap of people that are going to have no country when they're born.
Right.
Which is weird.
Which is actually perfect for the organ harvesters.
Oh, great. Thanks. Got really deep, really dark.
Yeah, especially if you're in Ukraine, because then there's no documentation. They're like number one. I don't know why I went there so fast. But it's not true. It's true. Like, children who are born without documentation are perfect for that type of system. Now, that's just an evil empire thing that came up in my spine. It's the acid talking. Don't worry, guys.
So the question was then, like, am I an American?
Yes, 100%. You were born in America. You were raised in America. You were raised with American values. You were raised in Moscow, so you're technically a Fed.
Moscow.
Moscow. Yes, but we got to say Moscow. Moscow. Yeah, but no, you're an American. You're an American for sure because you live the American lifestyle. I mean, you hang out with white people all day, bro.
Well,
Like-
okay, but that's the point. Is that being born here is not enough.
Is that
Right?
Well, with this new birthright stuff, yeah, being
Born here,
is-
raised here is actually not a qualifier any longer. Right?
So-
So all the arguments that you made that say, oh, well, that's why you're American, Matt. Well,
no longer apply
none of those apply
under our current law,
in the new proposed
proposed law.
law.
So, what do they propose for the interim from birth to 18? What do they say? That would be my question is what happens, because you're not an adult yet. You can't take a test, a citizenship test, all that stuff. So what's the temporary fix between 0 to 18 if you were born, let's say with parents who came here on a student visa at Stanford, they did the beast with two backs and had a little child, little entity. So what is this entity supposed to do from 0 to 18? They're not a citizen?
They're not a citizen.
They're
They're not a green card holder either because
actually
the
probably
parents aren't permanent residents. They're just like here temporarily. And I don't know.
I wonder if they get access to like the illegal alien stuff, like the $5,000 a month debit card. It's actually a pretty legit scam you could run. You could have your kid be born here, and then just have them mooch off the system from all of the immigration stuff that's leaking
So
money.
Maybe it's better just not to register.
I would think there are some deeply sophisticated listeners of the Matt Kim podcast that probably would take it 5 steps forward, which would be don't get a social security number. Make sure that you don't register yourself under the corporation of the United States of America run out of D.C. because you're technically not a citizen of America. You're a citizen of a corporate. You're a shareholder in a corporation of D.C. For those that want to take the deep rabbit hole of citizen versus non-citizen, American rights versus, I don't know, birthright. I don't know. That's a hole that I haven't gone down too deep.
I've just been thinking about it just because it's like it's not something I've ever considered or thought about before, right? This podcast episode was brought to you by VP.net, the only VPN that can't spy on you. I was born here, I was raised here. I've always considered myself American. And obviously, I speak a lot on American politics, etc. And then it's like, wait a second, you weren't supposed to be.
So let me give you my hard-edged opinion, and we'll talk about it. Maybe you have a different vantage point of this. I figure I am not a big fan of sins of the father. Like I hate the sins of the father argument. Let me give you a couple examples. The sins of the father argument is, I'm Korean, I should hate Japanese. Why? Because the Japanese raped and pillaged Korea, and my grandparents and my parents were kind of somewhat periphery to that, and they experienced that. So therefore, the sins of my fathers and sins of their fathers, I'm going to be affected by that. It's another example is the whole idea of slavery. Like when black people say to white people, "Hey, you should pay reparations," it's like, pay for the sins of my fathers. Which the chances of me actually being a slave, my descendants being a slave owner, if I'm white in America, is really low, because we know that 90% of all the slave trade was actually Jewish people of Jewish descent. And so, should white people pay reparations and pay for the sins of their fathers and their forefathers? No. Should a child born in America to two illegal immigrants pay for the sins of their father, pay for the sins of the parents? I think the answer is no. You were born in America. Your parents did the nasty. They did the wrong thing. You were conceived in America. Guess what? Welcome to America. You have all the rights of America, but your parents, however, do not, because they did it wrong.
But isn't that interesting? Because the same people.
You cannot blame a child for the child did not have the optionality or choice of being born.
The same people that make the argument for pro-life. It's not the kid's fault what the dad or mom did in order to be born. You can't put the blame on the child, and you can't erase him because of the transgression of a father or non-father, etc.
Fair enough.
But yet those same people are like, but the kid, when they immigrate and they're born, the parents were illegal and they were illegal, so therefore that kid can't be a citizen.
Got you, bro. That's where I was going. There's a hypocrisy from these models, is that they do not form fit across the entire spectrum, right? And I just do not. And I think if you were to really sit down and logically think about this, having to pay for the sins of my father doesn't make any sense. My father's not me, right? I'm not my father. He made some bad decisions. Yeah, I was conceived in America by two illegals. Not me. I'm just using an example, right? So why should I have to pay reparations to that? Why should I have to be constrained because my idiot parents did something wrong? I think a lot of suffering, a lot of the social landscape, a lot of the bickering in this political and social realm would end immediately, Matt, if people looked at the sins of the father and said, no longer applies.
But
no longer applies. Like, stop bombing this country. Stop blaming this country because of the sins of your father. Like, it was decades ago, generations ago. Like,
but
didn't Ben Shapiro tell us to get over this stuff, right? But the only thing you can't get over is the Holocaust. But everything else,
they can't forget that.
Can't forget that. But everything else you can get over.
But I was very much on the other side of this argument for a very long time.
Yeah.
You can't just come here, squat, pop a squat, knock out a kid, and take resources from the country. It's not fair that me, as a taxpayer, has to pay for this, and it's creating the problem, which is also true. You can't just have people running over here, coming here on vacation, popping a kid out, and all of a sudden becomes a burden on society.
Yeah, I agree.
And I understand that mindset and that point of view. But again, it's not the kid's fault. He was just born, or she was just born.
That's right.
But if you allow it, it's just going to make the problem worse.
But
how do you solve the problem then?
You solve the problem at the border. You don't let these knuckleheads come in to America, pop a squat, punch out a baby.
So now we're not going to let pregnant women fly?
No, you're not gonna. You're gonna.
Are we gonna start putting timers on them? Like, okay, it looks like you're 6 months pregnant. You can stay here for 33 days, and then you gotta go.
Then you gotta peace out. No, we can't do that. But we can do what two of the most sophisticated cults in the world have done. The Vatican has built a wall, very effective, and Israel has built a wall, very, very effective. So if we use these two models...
Not that effective because paragliders can get over it.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. Sometimes mistakes are made.
Yeah.
Sometimes mistakes are made. So the Vatican and Israel have used walls to great effect. I think America should use walls to great effect. Are we going back to the wall discussion here, Matt?
Well, yes and no, because this includes people that are here just traveling. So again, the problem is you're going to have these people that come in.
You don't just randomly travel and it's be like, I'm going to travel when I'm 8.5 months pregnant, just in case.
I think
baby
people do that
out.
Actually, though.
Are you serious?
I think that's the thing.
You think people really travel when they're 8.5 months pregnant so they can pop it out across the American border?
Yes, I believe. It doesn't have to be the American border.
Can you
it's
run
people
some
that fly in from other countries?
Give me some ChatGPT on the line, man.
If you are 7 months pregnant or 6 months pregnant, you fly to the United States, you have your kid, and then you fly back home, and they get to go back home as their kid being an American citizen.
You know that
even if they don't grow up here, they get to keep their citizenship because they're born here. This is a thing. People actually do this.
No way.
Oh, for sure.
I know there's medical tourism, right? You go to Korea for for the. You go to Mexico for surgery. Are you telling me there's baby tourism?
Of course.
No, get out. Okay. This can't be
if you live in any other country in the world, especially if they allow dual citizenship.
It's called birth tourism.
Boom.
Are you serious?
It's a thing.
Is this the thing? Am I learning something new here on the Matt Kim podcast?
If you're living in Rwanda and you have a little bit of money and you're worried about having only Rwandan citizenship, why would you not fly to the United States, have the kid gets to be born an American citizen, has the effects and rights of an American citizen. They can fly back to Rwanda, grow up in Rwanda, and then when it's time for school or college, they just come right back. Like, why wouldn't they do that?
So let me... The short answer is if you have means and ways to do that, that certainly is an option for your child because all parents want their child to have the best.
Correct.
Fair enough. So the argument stands. Let me ask you this. If you were a Rwandan, if you were, let's just say, part of a third world country, and you knew that this birth tourism was a thing, and you went on your little Nokia phone in the middle of Sahara Desert, and you did your Googles, and you looked it up, and you said, this is a thing, and if I save up my shekels, I'll be able to buy a flight and do the thing. And the timing worked out for your wife to do the thing. Would you do it? Would you be a birth tourist from your third world country to America so that your child would have better opportunity? Would you do that, Matt?
I think.
Would you be that sophisticated to really understand how America runs? That you truly believe America would be a better place to run this scam, to have your wife pop out the child on American soil? Would you do that, Matt?
I don't know if I would, but at the same time, there's very little that a parent won't do for their kid's future.
I think,
like let your kid drive 120 miles an hour in the rain.
fair enough. I mean, yeah, let's do it.
So, like when people do that, especially if that service exists, I'm not saying it's right. Like that's not the argument, but I understand why people would.
I think, if I may, I think it's almost impossible for you and us to extract ourselves out of the provisions, the benefits, and all the amazing amenities that we have sitting here in America. I think it's impossible for us to even conceive of what it would be like to be Rwanda, to be a Rwandan parent and thinking there's got to be a better way. Matt, with all of my brain power, I cannot conceive
All of it?
all of it, which is not a lot. It's about the size of a pea. I cannot conceive of doing the thing, of being like, okay, I'm going to get enough shekels together so I can somehow, like, the familiarity of poverty. Have you ever heard the saying that it's better the devil I know versus the devil I don't? Right? It's like that's the addict's dilemma. The addict's dilemma is they keep telling me this going clean is really hard, but the devil I know, right? My addiction, the devil I know is far better than the devil I don't. So you know what? Fuck trying to get clean. I'm just gonna keep shoving this stuff up my nose like a Biden, right? Like seriously, right? And so it's like
Future President Hunter Biden.
President Hunter Biden.
Peter.
I made the call. It's gonna happen. So I feel like you talk. What's the percentage?
Can you look this up real quick? How many birth tourists are there a year? I'm curious about
It
this
can't
number.
be a huge amount.
Over under 30,000. What do you think?
Under
30,000?
No way. The timing, the means and ways, the money necessary.
How many is too much where this needs to be corrected?
Well, I mean, we're willing to change entire global policies for a couple of men who want to play in women's sports. So what number do you need?
That's a pretty good number. Estimates vary widely, with some groups claiming upwards of 33,000 per year.
Wow. Look at that. Call it that
But
over
that's
under
probably
on
at
that.
the high end.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Just you don't have to. We don't need the caveat, dude. You see the number. It
We
says
don't need-
33,000. I said 30,000.
We don't need your
Just
Asian
saying Matt
math.
was right.
We don't need Asian math. Don't give us that. No, don't give us the overall. No, 30 grand, pretty good.
That's a lot.
But it's
That's
not.
an industry.
It's not enough to move to create regulatory constraints around. But then again,
towards the end of Trump's last administration, they did invoke rules where they can deny visas to people that potentially were trying to do this.
Oh, so they have.
So
they're on the lookout.
So now
They're on the lookout.
Now at the border, they're interviewing like pregnant women.
Yeah, if you're coming in and you're pregnant, they're like, bro,
Who are you here to see? Where are you going to stay? Oh, right next to the hospital, huh? You know? Thanks for watching the clip. If you want to see the full episode, click here. If you want to see more clips, click here.